mosong wa letsatsi morena wa rona re mo kgotleng ya Barolong Boo Seleka modimo mo go tlile go diragala history ka lena letsatsi modimo wa rona re mema wena modimo wa rona go re etella pele ha o sa re etelle pele modimo wa rona ha re ye ka jalo re a o kopa modimo gore se go fatsa letsatsi lena ke bana ba etele dipele ba rona modimo kgosi ya rona le kgotla ya borra Seleka bontate ba AfriForum ke bona ba teng modimo re a ba beya re a ba rapella modimo wa rona gore a tse tsotlhe tse di diregang mona di se go fadiwe ke wena rara wa rona ka Jesu Kriste morena wa rona amen.
Amen. We can now pass now we feel good now because God is with us. We feel the presence of the Almighty. Now we can proceed with our business of the day. Before we start, I want to let you all know that the proceedings of today are alive. Everyone, everywhere, they see what is happening here today. So whatever we're going to do here, we're doing it in honor of our ancestors. We are actually renewing the vows of the old marriage between the two nations. And to that, we give glory to God. Whatever we do here, we must always remember, we are not doing it for Barolong Boo Seleka today. We are doing it for the future generations to come. We are doing for those who never knew what happened between Thaba Nchu, Barolong actually, and the Voortrekkers and the Afrikaners in general. That is why I'm saying we are renewing the vows of the old marriage. Without much ado, Ompi Mokgatlho, can you start with introductions of the royal family?
Unfortunately, I didn't have time to rehearse. I've just been told that to introduce our queen, Kgosi Kgosi Gaboilelwe Moroka. Happy le gamela ke na le re Goronyane Maleho Goronyane, ileng one of the royal families. Mohumagadi ko le mole ba ga se tla itshwarela bile go to mo TV ke tsogile. Anyway, ke Kgosi Gaboilelwe Moroka le ba ba mo potileng di khosana sa rona tsotlhe ka bontsi ba lona banna ke bona re Isaacson ela lotlhe le siame re a leboga.
Thank you, Malume. You are all welcome from the side of the Barolong Boo Seleka Traditional Council and the Barolong Boo Seleka Royal Family. Those that Malume did not make mention of, don't feel offended. You are all welcome. Thank you very much, Malume. Barent, can you help us with that part? All right.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning also to all the media and our members that are following us online. It's my privilege to introduce the AfriForum delegation today. So, on my far left is Flip Buys, the chairperson of the board of AfriForum and also the chairperson of the Solidarity Movement. And next to me is Kali Kriel, the CEO of AfriForum, and I am Barend Eis, the head of Intercultural Cooperation and Relations at AfriForum.
Thank you very much, Barend, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to waste any time. I'm going back to Barend to give us the purpose, or rather to start with why we are here and why was it so important for us to come and converge here today. And yes, Barend, it's back to you again.
Thank you so much. It is indeed a very historic day. And as I was driving from Bloemfontein this morning and I saw the mountain, I was thinking of what historic events this mountain have witnessed. And again today we are witnessing this historic event. But as was said before, what happens here today is not something that fell from the sky. In the lifetime of a people that of course spans centuries and even millennia, 189 years might or is actually a short time. So it was 189 years ago in 1833 when Barolong arrived at Thaba Nchu. And then it was only a very short while after that, in 1835, when the first voortrekkers also arrived in what we call the Free State province today. And of course that was a time of turmoil, of conflict, of people settling, people trying to find a future, and that is something that was shared at that time. The Barolong Boo Seleka, and of course there was also some other Barolong present, they were looking for a place to stay in peace and in prosperity, and the same was true for the voortrekkers. And here in Thaba Nchu, the voortrekkers was received in a friendly manner. Our ancestors could be here, they were safe. But then one of the track parties proceeded further north, and just south of the town of Heilbron in October 1836, that small track party under the leadership of Hendrik Potgieter was attacked by the forces of the Ndebele of Mzilikazi. And at the end of the battle they were left completely destitute, stranded, without any animals to move the wagons. And you can imagine being on a battlefield with decaying corpses is a very unhealthy situation. And in that moment, that voortrekkers, the Afrikaners, they received help from Thaba Nchu. Kgosi Moroka too sent trek oxen for them to move their wagons to safety. And that is why just south of where we are today, there is a place called Moroka's Hoek, and that is where the voortrekkers could camp in safety, and that is also where the voortrekker governments was elected, because they were safe under the protection of Kgosi Moroka too. And of course this did not end in the 1830s at the time of the Great Trek. We know that in 1854 the Republic of the Orange Free State came to be, and the most important ally of that republic, an Afrikaner republic, was Barolong Boo Seleka of Thaba Nchu under the leadership of Kgosi Moroka too. And that relationship was also formalized in a treaty. There was a treaty signed between Kgosi Moroka too and the Republic of the Orange Free State in those days under the leadership of President Jan Brandt. And after the passing of Kgosi Moroka too, Kgosi Chipinari Moroka ascended the throne, and again a treaty was signed. And again we can reflect on history. It was a time of turmoil, it was a time of settling of borders, and at that time the biggest opponent of both Barolong Boo Seleka and the Afrikaners of the Orange Free State was the Kingdom of Basotho. And in the wars that was fought, this is simply history, the Afrikaners and the Barolong Boo Seleka fought side by side. And I think this is why we are saying what we are doing here today is not something new. It is we are reviving some good things from the past. And maybe in closing I can say, in the broader solidarity movement and in AfriForum we have a motto. We say our approach is creative rejuvenation based on proven values and experience. And today is a beautiful reflection of that approach. Is we look in the past, we find what is beautiful, we shape a vision for the future, And this vision and the way that we proceed is based on our proven values. And that is why it's such a big privilege to today again sign a treaty between AfriForum as an Afrikaner organization and the Barolong Boo Seleka as a nation. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Barend, for that background. Bagaisho, it's our root le tlhalogantse go go warna gorna le morago le kaya eng le reng mo gorona re le barolong le reng mo gorona re le lotso la morafe wa Barolong Boo Seleka mo Thaba Nchu. Mme go bofelong gone se se tlhalositsweng ke Barend ke gone gore ga se 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 tlong go se dira ga se fela go tsosolosa dintlha tseo tsa gore go bofelong bo tata rona ba tlile ba nna le tomagano le go nna mmogo le lotsolo ma-Afrikaner, mme go nna le gore go tshisanwe mmogo ka kagiso fa gare ga ditšhaba tse pedi. Ga go le jalo go raya gore ke tlile go tsaya marapo yaanong ke a busetsa mo go rre Goronyane yo e leng ene mogolo wa rona mo lelapeng ga mmogo le mo setšhabeng sa rona sa Barolong Boo Seleka go tla le ene gore a re anegele ka le morago la Barolong Boo Seleka ka mo tlase ga ntlo ya Kgosi Moroka, presently ka mo tlase ga ntlo ya Kgosi Mokgopa Robert Moroka, e le gore re tle re itse gore ke goreng gompieno go le maleba gore if we have to move forward into the future, be re tsamaya e le gore we are holding hands together with the Afrikaners. As we started in the beginning, bo tata rona ga ba tsamaya ba le banosi, matsapa ba tsamaileng ba tsamaile ba le mmogo ba tshwaragane ka matsogo. And also this reminds us of Thaba Nchu was once independent. That independence we must also reclaim from the current dispensation. So ha ile gore ke maikaelelo a rona ao go bona Thaba Nchu e tswella go pele le go bona Thaba Nchu e atlega and it is self-sustainable and self-reliant. It means we must revisit our history and pick up all the good that was there and ensure that we run forward with them. Goronyane ke motsotso wa gago mogolo wa
ke le tlotle lotlhe ba le gone ha ke tlotle Kgosi ke tlotle magosana gaešwa a tlhompegang ke tlhompe botlhe ba ba tshwanang ke go tlhompega le puso ya rona ke bona ke leba yana ke bona ba puso ya gaetsho ya South Africa ba le gone ke a ba leboga ke a ba dumedisa mo go bua ka ga the history of Thaba Nchu ha morolong ha bo o tata rona ba tla kwano Thaba Nchu ba ne ba tswa kae motho a ka botsa ba ne ba tswa ko Plattenberg e gauhi le mo re bitsang go ke Warrington ka mo tlhakoleleng ke kgomo ka beke re tsantsa re utlwa ka ga yone gore ke kgomo ka beke ha o le mo lekgabanyaneng le o tla kwano o tswa ko Kimberley o tla o ya Orkney ha tlase ga noka e tshetla Barolong ba tsamaile hao e le ba itla kwa Orkney ba bona bo batho ba nte jaaka di-missionaries broadband botlhe ba tshela noka eo gape e tshetla eo ka gore ke gone mo ene e tsheta ga teng moo se ke batlang go le naya sone ke the brief history of Barolong Boo Seleka ha ba tla ba bua ba boela kwano gae ka thulaganyo e ne se di dirilwe mo lehatsheng le e re ke le itse jana mo gae jaaka re motlhale a sena go bua yana Thaba Nchu ke a Barolong tse sa ba property re rekile everything e temo go rona ha re tshwane le Verkeerde Vlei ha re tshwane le di-Wesort ha re rona ka bo rona ha re tshwanne le malapa a mang le mahatshe a mang a mabapi le rona. Rona ke moga rona. Jaanong ha re rabareng tantsa bua yana o nkgopotsa so sengwe ha bua ka bo Rodamo ka mo saiteng yo ona ba itla go teng monument o na le teng ha pele ga Dr. Moroka hahle. Ba tsamaile le Barolong go itla kwano mo ka 1836 ba busa ke Kgosi Moroka. Kgosi Moroka o ka iwa inele motho o ne le a modest man. A se motho wa ntwa. Ke motho wa kagiso. Ke motho wa ratang batho. Ke motho wa ratang tswelopele. O ne a ntse a tsamaya jaana go tsamaya ga yana o ne a tsamaya le khatsenage e bonyene goronyane Joel David ba kate goronyane o tlile a o tla mo sia mo re leng gompieno metsi ke ya rona re sa itseng gore shota metsi ka mokgontseng yang e leng fa metsing fa ka bitseng Resfontaine dam ke gone mo e leng utlwa re makala gompieno ka 1913 ka nako ya Berman Commission in Bloemfontein. Ke ha ena re goronyana a rumwa ke ene Kgosi Moroka gore a go ema a emele ha tsela ga bone jaka le bona dintshi tsa rona di kgautswe. We are today a quarter of our land that we have bought from le ha tsele ke bontlhangwe bo re bo batlileng mo di thulaganyo tsa rona e ne le tsa Kgosi Moroka le Kgosi Moshweshwe. Jaanong ha re itse gore batho ba ba re kopakopanyang ba mme tseo ke tse re di lebileng mme ke tse re tlo go di baakanya. Mongwe o ke se ka bare o rekile seo sengwe e le sa gago motho ba tla go rara seo sa gago tseo le ene o jang mo ba gaetsho bogolo ha ke batla go bua thata re na le baeti mme tshwanetse re tlo go baakanya ba puso ya rona. Thaba Nchu e yana ka ntlha ya dinokana tsa Thaba Nchu. Ha ke tla ke motho a itse Thaba Nchu a itse dinokana tsa teng le dithaba tsa teng gore di ntse ka mokgontseng jang melebane eo e botoka thata eo. Mme ra itumela gompieno ga borraba ke bone ba ileng ha ba itlha mo ka 1834 ba re agela kereke ke ya ra e bona ke ya Erskelt e agilwe ke bone ke sekoloto sa ntlha se rona ba se dira seo gore rona ra mogetswe ke Kgosi Moroka. Kgosi Moroka o la sa rate motho a lelera Reverend o le bileletse gore Kgosi Moroka o na ba a romela so sengwe go bona go ba thusa ha ba ne ba le motlalelong yana le gompieno go tlo tsoselesa so seo a se ka ra bolelwa ke batho gore jaanong be re tsaile moraheo go tlise mo pele ga rona. Nnyaa re mo tlhabologong bana ba rona re tshwanetse re ba ne e re ga modimo a re tsa bana ba rona ba itse go ga bone ke ga kae le itse gore re tshwanetse re boelwa ke Thaba Nchu ya gaetsho mme e tla boga ke a leboga.
Thank you, Rahoronyane. Thank you very much. I think what you've just said is reverberating in the ears of everyone who's here, and it will for a long time. I think you've just said something. Yeah, for a really Sechaba. Yes, there will always be people, naysayers and others, some backlashing and doing everything that is negative. But what we are doing here, we must also remember that it is recognition and if we are recognizing, it means we are saying we accept you and we want you to be one with us. And we also want to cooperate with you. So that's what Rahoronyane is saying, is that even though people will say a lot about what is happening today, the truth of the matter is reviving what happened long time ago in the 1800s is very relevant today. We are moving forward with that because it was waiting for us. And what we took thereafter plunged us into this despair. So we are moving forward from today to a better future, holding hands, marching forward. From this, I'm saying I'm not going my side again. I'm asking either Krill or Flip to give us a short whatever they've prepared as well.
So thank you also, Kgosi. Ladies and gentlemen, it is sad to think that so much beauty lies buried in the silence of the past, that all these things which so mightily pleased our forefathers has become things of yesterday. And that is why it is very important that we gather here today to look at the things that our forefathers have done and to continue it. Because if you want to move forward, if you want to drive your car and to move forward, you must look in the rear mirror from time to time. Now, we all know that there's very big problems in South Africa, and one of the reasons in our perspective is that you can't take all the decisions regarding everyone in the country from Pretoria or Cape Town. It is only democratic that communities such as the Barolong Boo Seleka must take decisions that concern themselves. And the reason for that is, if you look at South Africa, few people realize how big this country is. This country is as big as Western Europe. And just as you can't rule centrally from all that countries in Western Europe from a central point, it is very difficult. It is impossible to make all the decisions of South Africa on a central basis. That is why we recognize communities like the Barolong traditional communities. It is important that, like in all other countries, that people have the democratic right to decide what's important to them. I want to say that we are here today to celebrate a very old friendship, to renew it, and I was told that Thaba Nchu was the only place where the voortrekkers felt so safe with the Barolong that they didn't park their wagons in a lager, but in a row, because they felt safe. And we also today, we would like to thank you for your hospitality, for your friendship. We felt safe, we felt at home, and it is for us a privilege to be here. Now let me conclude by a quote British statesman Winston Churchill about culture. Because South Africa, from our side, we don't see race, we see culture. And that is why we say we must work together and we must use our different cultures not to divide ourselves, but to have mutual recognition and respect for each other and work together. Now, Winston Churchill have said that one of the signs of the great society is the diligence with which it passes culture from one generation to the next. This culture is the embodiment of everything the people of that society hold dear. When one generation no longer esteems its own heritage and fails to pass the torch to its children, it is saying in essence that the very foundational principles and experiences that make the society what it is are no longer valid. And then he said very important words. He said, when that happens and the society has lost its way, it's for leaders to arise who have not forgotten the discarded legacy and to love it with all their hearts. So for us, it is all about the culture you have all received from your forefathers, and to preserve that and to pass it on to the next generation. For us, that is the essence of tradition, that is the essence of traditional leadership, of traditional communities, and of mutual cooperation and respect. Thank you very much, Lazarus.
Thank you very much. Look, are you going on?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Chairperson, Kgosi Gaboilelwe Moroka, members of the royal family, and I'm also pleased to hear that the leaders of the Barolong Boo Seleka people are here in terms of the 42 villages that you have around. Thaba Nchu, I just want to say I feel humbled, firstly, to be received in this venue, the Mokgatlho, where is a people's meeting. In Afrikaans we say that's where jy 'n volksvergadering hou. And we are pleased that you've also invited us for this historic occasion to sign this treaty that we are going to sign just now. But I'm also humbled to be part of renewing the friendship between our communities in signing this treatment. And why one should feel humbled is we are not simply individuals that happen to float around. We are deeply embedded in the soil of the southern tip of Africa. We are embedded by our ancestors, but also our obligation towards the next generation. And Paul Creer, who was the president of the Suid-Afrikaanse Republiek, said that we should find what is good in the past and build the future with that. He did not say everything in the past was good, and we all know the history of conflict that we also had in this country over the last century. But if we say we want to build a future, and I think we have one thing in common, all of us want to have a future for our children, where our children and their children can live and enjoy their culture, but also have opportunities. And if we say we want to do that, and this is what this treaty is also about, to say how can we cooperate in terms of agricultural projects, how can we cooperate to promote the value of culture, to promote the value of mother tongue education. This gives us an opportunity to cooperate to build that future for our children. I also want to thank you for what your ancestors did, and Baron gave us an idea, and that is something that we will never forget, and that is why I think also for us it's a huge privilege for us to be able to come and also work with you here, because that is what friends do. In a sense, Kgosi Moroka helped our people, and we should also play our role. So thank you for that treaty that we will sign. Just broadly, in terms of following up on Flip that said the southern tip of Africa is a community of many cultural communities, and we can't necessarily change the polarization on political level in this country. And you would know what the polarization is. If you look on Twitter, it seems like everybody is fighting with everybody. But fortunately, Twitter is not the real world. The real world is what we're seeing on grassroots level happening, what's happening here in Thaba Nchu, what is happening in Afrikaans communities, where people say themselves, we want to build a future, we don't want to get engaged in polarization. And I think that is the way forward that we should go, and that is why we're setting up a network of cultural communities. And this agreement, we also have this treaty, we also have an agreement with the Amabele community in the Eastern Cape, and we're going to duplicate this to form this network of cultural communities that can take hands to say, we are going to build a future for our children. And thank you that we can also be part of this network together with your community. I just want to say something to our members. So ek gaan 'n bietjie Afrikaans praat. Maar ons lede kyk hierso en ek as daar van ons lede is wat mag vra, hoekom is hierdie ooreenkoms of hierdie verdrag wat ons inderwaarheid sluit, hoekom is dit nodig? En ek wil in die eerste plek sê, dis die regte ding om te doen. Dit is in terme van ons as Christene moet ons glo dat ons wedersydse erkenning en respek met mense moet bou. En dit is die regte ding om as Afrikaners ons hand van vriendskap uit te steek na ander gemeenskappe en te sê, kom ons kyk hoe ons saam 'n toekoms kan skep en ons hoef nie skaam te wees dat ons Afrikaners is nie. AfriForum en die breë solidariteit beweging is onbeskaamd dat ons vir Afrikaners ook 'n toekoms wil skep. Maar daardie toekoms, ons is lotsgebonde aan ander volkere hier aan die suidpunt van Afrika. En ons kan deur saam te werk met die ander kultuurgemeenskappe kan ons sorg dat ook vir al die kultuurgemeenskappe daar 'n beter toekoms is, 'n toekoms gebou op federale beginsels waar gemeenskappe selfstandig verantwoordelikheid aanvaar vir hulle toekoms. Ons gaan hier in Thaba Nchu bou om saamwerk om te sorg dat ook hier, en hier is baie energie en leierskap, die Kgosi is 'n persoon wat die stange gevat het hier om hier verandering teweeg te bring en ook hier gemeenskap selfstandigheid te vestig, soos wat ons ook vir Afrikaner gemeenskappe wil hê. Die tweede belangrike ding, behalwe dat dit die regte ding is om te doen, weet ons daar is baie propaganda om te sê Afrikaners in die geskiedenis is boosaards wat net slegte dinge gedoen het en polarisasie veroorsaak het. En ek dink dit is belangrik dat ons ook deur hierdie kanaal kyk na ons geskiedenis. Natuurlik is Afrikaners soos enige groepering is nie foutloos nie. Daar was dinge wat ons glo ons anders moes doen. Die miskenning van mense se waardigheid is iets wat nie moes gebeur nie. Maar ons kan nie as die boosaards uitgelig word as ons weet die potgieters van hierdie wêreld en ander voortrekkerleiers en ander Afrikaners het ook 'n hand van vriendskap uitgesteek na mense soos die koning Moroka van die Seleka Barolong. En ons moet daarop klem plaas. Ons is mense hier van die suidpunt van Afrika wat vir ons 'n toekoms hier wil uitkerf en ons het baie ook om op trots te wees. En hierdie verdrag onderstreep eintlik dit wat ons vorentoe gaan vat, dat ons vir my, vir jou nageslag en ons gemeenskappe 'n toekoms kan skep waar ons vry, veilig en voorspoedig kan blywend leef hier aan die suidpunt van Afrika. I've spoken quite a lot, so but Chairperson, I'm now finished. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Greg. I want to acknowledge what the last speaker said. Lebaka la gore be re kopane gompieno ke gone gore ba ntsha letsogo la botsalano gore re kgone go tlo tshwaraganela tiro mmogo ya go aga Thaba Nchu. Mme what is important in what he said is that we must not be ashamed gore ko bofelo e be ba re ke bone ba ba ntshang letsogo gore tshwaragana le bone gore re tswelele pele. What is important ke gore re age Thaba Nchu, re age re tshwaragane ka matsogo. So go important le mo go rona gore re bule dipelo tsa rona, re bone gore Thaba Nchu ya agiwa, Thaba Nchu e tswelela pele, Thaba Nchu e nna ntle, Thaba Nchu e nna le tlotlo, Thaba Nchu e nna le seriti. Thank you very much from the AfriForum side. Now I want to give over to my chief, my queen, my leader, my sister, my everything, Marona Bojaka.
Ke a leboga. E re ke simolola ka go isa tlotlo go mmupi wa rona yo dirileng gore be re le fano gompieno. Ke tla jaaka ka loleme gore ke tle ke utlwale go botlhe ka re sa lebellwa kana re na le baeng ba e leng gore ba re lebeletse mo televisioneng. I was acknowledging, just giving thanks to our Almighty God, because it is by Him that we are here today. Let me start by saying today, this morning, as I was preparing for the day, I reflected and asked the Lord, why does it have to happen at my time? Because that's a very big responsibility on my shoulders. But on the same breath, it is the gratitude that one feels and the honor that I feel sitting here today, having been requested to lead the nation and having to take this historic step. I want to honor our ancestors, because what we are doing here, as I say, for me, it is a very, very big duty on my shoulders. But the honor that comes with it, above all, the divinity of it. They say history repeats itself, and in our instance, it is just very, very amazing how the events that led up to this day unfolded. It was at a time when the monarch of Barolong Boo Seleka, that had been in power since the 1800s, that founded Thaba Nchu, the lineage of this very family, was all of a sudden told it does not exist, it has never existed. And that talks to the issue of identity. It is waking up one morning and being told you are not who you think you are. For the past 10 years, almost a decade, we were robbed of our identity. And when I put it and look at the events of the cooperation that was there between the Afrikaners and my forefathers, it was at a time when the Afrikaner nation then found itself in despair. So at that time, it was us, Barolong Nation, coming to the rescue, if I can put it like that. But today, it was the Afrikaner nation coming to the rescue of Barolong Boo Seleka. Yes, it might not have been the time of the wars of Difakani, where we're actually in the battlefields with guns and spears. But it is the same type of war, only a modernized type of war. And you did the same. At a time when we were at war, you came in and you also rescued us. So above all, I want to extend and express our gratitude as a nation to the Afrikaner community. And this brings me to also strongly speak against the notion that our people sometimes have the issue of black and white. It can never change. We will always be black, you will always be white. That will never change. But our mindsets can change. And as long as we as a nation continue to point fingers at each other, we might as well forget about the progress of the country, of our nation, of our future generations. There's a saying that I will interpret in English, that when one finger points at you, 3 fingers are actually pointing. So when you point a person with a finger, the other 3 are actually pointing at you. So you're pointing at yourself 3 times more. And this is to say, we all have to take responsibility. I look today and wonder, are we not also doing what we call apartheid? If we say South Africa is for all who live in it, both black, green, purple, orange, white. If we say it's a rainbow nation, then why are we still pushing and shoving each other at the expense of our future generation? I also want to speak strongly to the people who say or perceive this revival as us giving our land or bringing the Afrikaners into our land. May I say, if we knew who we were, if we understand the history, when Kgosi Moroka bought Thaba Nchu from King Moshoeshoe, Thaba Nchu was an independent nation, and governments came, governments left, they still left Thaba Nchu independent. In fact, we, the Tswana community, Barolong Boo Seleka Tswana community, so we are also a minority grouping within the Free State. The Free State is largely a Sotho-speaking area. But we have maintained our independence, even in our current times, in the democratic dispensation, and that will never change. The cooperation that was there over a century ago, that we are reviving today, is that both parties have the responsibility to carry on what our elders had laid before us, before we came, that foundation. Coexistence, mutual respect, and this is what the treaty that we are signing is all about. Mutual respect, coexistence, building together for a better future. We cannot at all allow ourselves, especially as royal leaders, especially as traditional leaders, we cannot allow to compromise our nations, forgetting that we need to preserve our cultural identity, because that's the fiber that makes us who we are. And so it is very important that we understand where we are coming from and why we are doing what we are doing today. I take the responsibility as the leader of this nation to say I honor and respect what has been done, and I honor and respect what we are doing today. And I commit that the nation of Barolong will be that nation of Kgosi Moroka, will be that nation of Kgosi Tsipinare, where peace, mutual respect, love, cooperation prevailed. We were a place of small beginnings but mighty endings because of the spirit of Ubuntu. Kabotho, boetapele, bo bo tletseng botho, bo bo tletseng lerato, bo bo tletseng kgolagano, and that is what we shall do. May we stop pointing fingers at one another, because it does not bear any fruit. May we stop. I must say, can I just say, there's one thing I admire about the Afrikaner community, and maybe this is now I'm going, but I'll use the platform because I have it now. There's one thing I admire about the Afrikaner community, that when you found yourselves, post 94, if it were us, we would still be disgruntled. But you went back, you regrouped. You went back, regrouped, and kept who you are. Now, let us appreciate the good and the bad. We appreciate the good and the bad. Bad things have happened, but also good things have happened. And as we say, even in the treaty that we are signing today, we take from the good and we build from the bad. I appreciate how you have kept who you are, your culture, our children today, and that's one of the issues that are in our treaty of language promotion. Your children still speak Afrikaans. Our children speak English. Your institutions still stand. And you know what I always say? You are the minority. We are the majority. What is stopping us from building our own institutions? Instead of us always fighting. I mean, yes, it's over a long period of time, centuries of building, but let us also be constructive and think constructively, work constructively, that we build, focus on building instead of pointing at each other with fingers. So my words today are welcome back. Welcome back to a nation that was a sanctuary to you, to your forefathers. And as we start this journey, May it be a journey that is exemplary to what South Africa can be if we all hold hands and work together. If we all truly and genuinely build a non-racial, non-discriminatory South Africa. Ka mafoko ao, ke rata go leboga, and we look forward to this journey. Pula Barolong.
Are leboge bagolo Kgosi o buile ga ke tsona ba rona ba reng le a itse ka setso sa rona a Kgosi a buile di dume re dira eng. Let's do that bagaetsho pele ga o ya gore sprogel Kgosi o buile a re emeng ka maoto re dire se tshwanetseng se dirwe. Kgosi o buile Hallo Tumi, hallo Khati. Hallo Esinku, Jubilela, Jubilela di Konyana. Juma, 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 Barolo. Hallo Tumi, hallo Khati. Hallo Esinku. Chavera muterena burale boconi, rabina di pina di bocca, morena dire morena, uluca se chava, samorafi warona. Chavera muterena burale boconi, rabina di pina di bocca, morena diri morena uluka se chava samura fi wa rona bana ba mura fi o sa fe rona bana ba mura fi o sa fe Chihuahua, oh, Safeli. As I started in the beginning, I said all these proceedings are live, and we are streaming live actually. And we want to thank all the media houses that are participating, maybe from a distance, and acknowledge the presence of those who are here with us, if any, as well as the press. And now, in the absence of we want to give this chance now to the press and media houses present now here to ask questions, if any, and to maybe ask questions of clarity, if any, but if there is none, we may proceed direct to the signing of the contract.
I'm going to, normally I'm very short, I think Flip knows that we have done some legal treatment.
Yeah, that's when
So I'm happy about this situation because it's a continuation from what we've been in Thaba Nchu. I'm particularly happy because I must say that from the example set by the Afrikaner and under their leaders and Kgosi Moroka previously, there has been people really here, and may I say white people, who really understood that and they followed it. And also to endorse the fact that, you know, Kgosi Moroka chairperson, I just want to say Kgosi Kgolo. I know why I'm saying that. When Kgosi Moroka arrived here in Thaba Nchu, he was already occupying a status of a senior traditional leader. That is why he could send his troops to go and assist the Afrikaner, because it's a delegated power. That is why he could send a delegation to Kgosi Moshoeshoe to negotiate land. It's not just some power that you grab. It's a delegated power. So that is one of the things that Flip we are going to jointly address to correct that status. I was saying that, you know, people who understood that Kgosi Moroka is leading a cosmopolitan nation, you know, that there was a gentleman I know, because we used to attend pictures here, Kgosi Moroka. There was a gentleman called Mr. Hicks. Oh, Nadulamo Tabiniele, you know, but that farm is still there. That gentleman would understand the concept of Sihuba Sahos. Because I remember at one stage, when we were having a picture here, he drove in his buggy, loaded a huge merino ram. And he said, "Horse, I'm giving you this animal for you to be able to improve, your people must improve their livestock." That is the kind of attitude that Mr. Hicks had, and other people, I can mention a few like Michael Hesh and the others, Le Tsotsi, you know, Duplessis. He would not mind. I used to call him Bas Duplessis, but I know that it was a joke. So these are the kind of people that the situation that existed, and I'm happy that we are going to fight and also win the land issue, because this relationship, chairperson, is based on in the interest of fairness and justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Restofano. Thank you for your contribution. I think in the absence of media here, we may now go straight to the signing of the contract, the treaty actually, between the two nations.
Let me just sign. I have to write all these. Can't I just sign it? And then we'll fill everything in.
Why not sign? Okay, fine.
symbolic picture. It should go. We should put it as a photograph.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Ke kopa o tlhalosa gore kwala division ya Setswana le ya Afrikaans le ya English.
The signer. We are signing 3 versions: Setswana, Afrikaans, and English. So this treaty will come out with 3 languages. That is Setswana, Afrikaans, and English. Are we done with this?
What we are going to do, we're going to have a session. Thank you for watching. And then the person at the chat, but I'm sign. In a halala ka sign in one of the ready
Once we are done.
Well, yes, we have to close the media first.
Are we done then?
Yes, I think that's the last update. The possibility of the person was signing just one and then we make copies. Can't we do that? Otherwise, when are we going to finish? No, I think we fit now. It's only this 3 that we've signed. Yes, but at the back we
they will sign at the end.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to thank you all for being here. We now officially close the session and we will continue signing the contract with the Khosanas, but now the media briefing ends here. So we thank you very much for your patience and for your participation in the whole process. And we want to say, we will remain with the Khosana who will come and sign, and then even if they sign one, we will copy the others that will remain. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.